Good day to one and all. I'm Shriram. I'm a qualified chartered accountant and a company secretary. I'm here to take class 12 business studies classes for all of you. So there are three reasons as to why I would call myself deserving to take a class 12 business studies class. One is that I was able to score consistently the top mark in business studies all throughout my class 11 and class 12. Second is the most important reason. I flunked to score the top score in my board exams. And this is because I completely swapped one answer for the other and wrote, and the examiner got irritated. He cut 4 marks and I ended up scoring only a 96. So I can definitely take you classes on anxiety management and how to face board exams too. And third is that for the past 15 days I've been going through all the data, all the stuff which is present online, all the content which is there online on business studies classes. And somewhere I feel I can genuinely provide some fresh and unique content on business studies classes, and so I'm here to take classes for you. So since this being my first video on business studies classes, I have some 4 myths to break, or 4 myths about business studies on which I want to speak elaborately. The first myth is that business studies is the most boring subject on earth. I'll tell you, this is one of the most interesting subjects if you can correlate it with your practical examples, whatever you see in your nearby kirana shop, whatever you see in your nearby tailor shop, whatever you see in your nearby saloon. If you can correlate with examples like that and study, business studies is the most interesting subject that I would call. This is one. The second myth is that it is very tough to score marks in business studies. Usually guys say this. I'll tell you, this is very easy to score. I mean, I'm a live example standing here. Leave away my board exams performance, but for the rest of it, I've been able to score good marks. So business studies, there are certain nuances, there are certain techniques, there are certain presentation tactics which are involved in business studies, knowing which you can definitely score the top marks, and I'm here for you to help you on that. The third myth, business studies is not very useful for future. This is another set of people who have this school of thought, and this is definitely a myth, because once you're done with your schools, then you get into your college, and in the 3rd year of college or 4th year of college, you get into on campus. You get into a company, and that's when you enter into the business world. And this subject today is preparing you for something which you're going to foresee in another 4 years, which you're going to get in front of you, which you're going to counter in 4 years. So definitely this is the subject for future. And the fourth myth, it is just a matter of mugging up. Everyone says this. Even many teachers have seen telling this that, okay, business studies you need to mug up. I'll tell you, come on, business studies is not about mugging up. You need to remember the key points, and to remember the key points, yes, it might sound like mugging up, but to remember those points, it is better you relate with them the practical examples, whatever you've seen in your news, whatever you've seen in your television channels, whatever you've seen and listened to in podcasts, whatever you've seen in videos. So correlate all these real life examples and try to remember that. Just remember the keywords and you can do magic in business studies. So here we get into chapter 1 of business studies, nature and significance of management. And now over to nature and significance of management, chapter 1, business studies. So what is management? You're sitting in your room, your mom comes into your room, she looks at how shabby your room is, she shouts at you saying, no, you're not managing things well. You tell her, Mom, I'm studying, I'm in class 12. I go to yoga classes, I go to swimming classes, I manage my badminton training sessions well. I do so many things, so I'm managing things well. So what is management all about? I mean, we on a daily basis, we use this word management a lot. But to understand what it means is just all about this chapter. So what is management? The book defines it as the process of getting things done to achieve your goals effectively and efficiently. Now let's try to decode each and every word which is there on the board. So management is a process of getting things done. What is process? Any primary functions or activities, that's called process. So when you manage, for example, when you're managing for your exams, how do you manage? You first plan as to how you're going to study. You then organize all your materials, all your books, all your study materials, all your videos, whatever you have with respect to that, all your classworks, homeworks, everything. And then there's something called staffing. What is staffing? Staffing is the process by which you allocate how much time to put into each of the process. So that's about staffing. And while you're studying, in the middle of the process, you somewhere become sleepy and your eyes start dozing out. So that time you need to encourage yourself, you need to motivate yourself. There needs to be some sort of an inspiration, some senior, some all India ranker, someone like that. So that's directing yourself towards the goal. And the last process is controlling. What is controlling? You've done your exams well, your results come out, you're expecting for a 95. Say for example, okay, why do we keep it 95? Let's keep 100. You expect a centum, but you end up getting a 95. And now you understand what were all the processes which are put into that 95, where it went wrong, where we should adjust, where we should correct, where we should plug in the loopholes so that we end up with a centum next time. So this process is called controlling. So management as such is a process. What are the process? Process is nothing but primary functions or activities that management does. What are these primary functions and activities? It is nothing but all the chapters in your book. So what are those? Planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. These are the primary functions or activities, right, of getting things done to achieve goals. So why does management do all this? To achieve goal. So how are you managing your time and what are you managing your time for? It is all for scoring a centum in your business studies exams. So similarly, any management is all about achieving some goal. If it is an organization, it's about achieving the organizational goals. The goals which are set at the level of an organization. So achieving goals effectively and efficiently. These were very simple words, the meaning of which we know very, very much. But then when you see it in a textbook, you'll have to decrypt for yourself and you get bogged down. But don't get bogged down, it's pretty easy. Effectively. What is effectively? Doing the right thing is called effectiveness. Effectiveness is all about doing the right thing. For example, there's a company investor meeting. The company asks its managing director to go to Guwahati for an investor meeting. Okay, so the manager goes all the way to Guwahati. Is he acting effectively? Yes, he is acting effectively. And what is efficiently? Efficiently is to do things at minimal cost, minimal use of resources, minimal use of manpower, minimal use of efforts. So that's called efficiently. For example, the same company asks his MD or any director to go to Guwahati for an investor meeting. The director goes to Guwahati, booking a flight which is economic compared to all the other flights on the same day. So for example, he goes in a flight which is not business class, which is economic class, which suits the budget of the company, and which is he manages some 3 or 4 competitive quotes from different companies, say Make My Trip, Yatra.com, so 3 or 4 companies, and then he compares the rates. He goes in whichever is the minimum costing. So that is efficiency. Sorry. So management is all about the process of getting things done to achieve goals effectively and efficiently. Effectiveness to doing the right things. To do the things right is called effectiveness. Efficiently to do things at minimum cost, optimum utilization of available resources, and that is all about efficiency. So management is a process of getting things done to achieve goals effectively and efficiently. Over to characteristics of management. Now that we have looked into the word management in depth, let's understand what are the characteristics of management. So there's usually this thought when we say the word characteristic, people think it to be the positives or the negatives. Understand, characteristics are features. For example, you tell about a person. This person is very dynamic, he's very good, he's elegant, he's very generous, he's extremely stingy, he's miserly. So whatever be it, the adjectives related to that thing that we speak of, to the subject, that's called characteristic. So same question could be modeled to you as features of management or traits of management in whatever way called. So here over to the characteristics or features or traits of management. First, management is a goal-oriented process. So every management operates with a goal in mind. This goal has to be very clear, it has to be clearly stated, it has to be simple. Everyone in the organization should understand the goal. So what can be the goal like? For an export-oriented company, the goal could be to increase its exports, increase its sales. For a spastic society, the goal could be like to serve as many children as possible. So the goals of various organizations could be different, but management is definitely oriented towards a goal. All pervasive. The concepts, the processes which are involved in management is pervasive all throughout. So first of all, what does the word pervasive mean? Pervasive means to be overlasted. I mean to be spread all across, to be the same all across. Maybe we can understand that way. It is to be the same all across. For example, what a manager does in India is equal to what a manager does in Australia. But the only difference is that the methodology which they handle, the way in which they carry out could vary because of various reasons like traditions, culture, the place, the geography and all that. But the processes involved in management are all the same, which is nothing but, as we saw, planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. So the coordination between them, that's management. Multidimensional. Management has got three facets to it. One is management of work, two is management of people, and three is management of operations. So what is management of work? Every organization lasts for the purpose of some work. Everyone does some work. For example, if it's a export-oriented company, they produce garments. If it is a retail store, they sell garments. If it is a salon, he shaves our head, he cuts our head, he makes all designs on our head, and he helps us to design our hairstyle. So, for every organization, there's a set of things for which they work, and that work, it includes the plans to be made, the budgets to be prepared, and the assignments to be given, the authority to be delegated, the responsibilities to be shared, divided, whatever you call it. All this comes under management of work, the core work for which the organization stands for. Management of people. I remember one interpretation of management where they say manage men tactfully is equal to management. So management is more about people. Instead of all these technological advancements, the biggest challenge in every organization remains how do you manage your manpower. With respect to managing manpower, there are two aspects to it. One, there's an individual who's in front of you who has got his own behavior, his own attitude, his own expectations, his own goals, his own objectives with which he approaches the organization. So that is one, at the individual perspective. Two, at the group perspective. There are a set of individuals, say a HR team, say a finance team, say a marketing team. These set of individuals, these group of individuals have got their own goals, their own objectives. How do you address them? To mingle or to integrate the individual's objectives with the organization's goals is equal to good management of people. And next comes to operations. This is nothing but a very simple combination of management of work plus management of people. So operations, you can understand it as the difference between input and output. In between this set of processes which go, for example, certain raw materials are put in and that gets out as the finished product. And in between there is a process which makes this raw material into a finished good, and that is operations. So this operations, management of operations is all about, it includes management of work and management of people, through which you make your input into your output and you sell it to the market. And next comes to continuous process. So management is a continuous process. It's not like one day I manage really well, next day I flunk or I make it a disaster. So what happens? So the overall management of the organization becomes a disaster. It's not a one-day show or a one-man show. It's a daily process. So day to day you'll have to manage things. For example, let's take the case of an event management company. Today they have a marriage to conduct, and tomorrow they'll have a birthday party, and day after tomorrow they'll have a baby shower. So every day, once this is over, the next day they'll have to start planning for the next thing, to organize things, to staff people according to the requirements. So this is a continuous process, and it's not like a one day or one time process. Next, it is a group activity. As I said before, management is not a one-man show. It includes coordination of all the people through the organization at every level, at the top level or middle level or lower level of the organization. Everywhere, there are certain things that they'll have to do. There is management which is involved everywhere, all throughout the organization, and hence management is a group activity. One person cannot manage the show. Dynamic function. Management is a very dynamic function. Dynamic in the sense you need to adapt to the changes which are happening in your economic environment, in your political environment, in your social environment, in the environment around you, in the external as well as the internal environment around you. For example, many companies were prepared in 2020 for making very, very huge sales. But none of them, I would say most of them, were not prepared for a pandemic of this magnitude, for a corona of this magnitude. So it also includes management. You need to plan for your disasters, whatever possible disasters that could affect your business. You need to plan for them also. So management is a dynamic function whereby you need to take into picture all the environments around your business, and you'll have to adapt to the changes which are happening in that environment. And last, management is an intangible force. This is more like salt in food. Management is more like salt in food. A management to an organization. So what happens is, Some days when there is too much of salt in your food, it becomes very visible, the food gets spoiled. Some days when there is no salt in your food, the food becomes very bland, it is not edible and you don't like it. So management is also like that. Till things are managed really well, the show goes well, targets are met, people are happy, there's no chaos, everything is good. But once this is not happening properly, the effect of it comes out. So intangible means not able to touch. Something which you can only feel, the presence of it you can feel but you cannot touch it. So management is an intangible force. It is management which runs the organization. The presence of the management is felt in the way the organization is presented to the outside world. Let's get into a revision of the characteristics of management. What are the characteristics of management? Or what are the traits of management? What are the features of management? 1. Management is a goal-oriented process. 2. Management is all-pervasive. 3. Management is a multi-dimensional function, whereby the dimension of management of work, management of people, management of operation comes into picture. Next, management is a continuous process. 5. Management is a group activity. 6. Management is a dynamic function. And 7. Management is an intangible force. Get into the objectives of management. What are the objectives of management? Management has got 3 objectives for itself. 1 are the organizational objectives. 2 are social objectives. And 3 are personal objectives. First, organizational objectives. So management is, the primary role of management is setting goals and achieving goals for any organization. The organization has to achieve a lot of goals, a lot of objectives, keeping in mind the interest of various stakeholders, various people who are involved in business, who are related to business. They include employees, customers, the directors, the board of directors, and the shareholders of the business, the government. So these are all various stakeholders of the business. So the organizational objectives of management can be achieved through 3 steps. 1 is survival, 2 is making profits, 3 is growth. What is survival? Survival is to grow your revenues, your top line, your sales should increase. So management should focus on increasing the survival aspects of the organization. What do you mean by survival aspects? So in any industry there is so much of competition. For example, in case you're starting a new mobile phone factory in India, there's so much of competition, one from Chinese imports, one from American imports. So there is so much of competition. So amidst all this competition, you need to survive. To survive, you need to make revenues. That is to increase your sales. That is survival objective. Next comes profit objective. What is profit objective? Once you reach the sales part there, next comes a bottom line to increase your profits. Only if you increase your profits, you can cover the costs and risks of running the organization. So profits are very, very vital for any business, not just revenue would do. Next is growth. Growth in simple terms we can understand is the profitability of the organization. So what are the profits the organization can earn in the future? So to increase the growth potential, management has to strive very hard and to increase the growth potential by tapping all possible means and ways. So these are the organizational objectives. So organizational objectives is looking like from the eagle's eye, the top of it. Next comes social objectives. Now that your organization is happy, what would you do next? The next thing that you do to contribute your part to the society. Every organization takes all its inputs from the society, whether it is manpower, whether it is inputs, whether it is raw materials, whether it is the factory building, whether it is plant and machinery. Everything comes from society. Everything flows from society to the business, including finances, including investments, everything. So it is imperative on every business part to give back something to the society. Even your Companies Act has now mandated that every company after a certain threshold will have to contribute as part of the CSR, which is corporate social responsibility. So every company has to do its own bit towards the society. By it could be in various means. You contribute to basic amenities like food, health, agriculture, education, etc. Or you use eco-friendly modes of production, eco-friendly modes of output generation, all that. And employment generation for the underprivileged. So these could be some of the things which you could do through your social objectives. Next, personal objectives. So what are you going to do for those people who are working in your organization, to all the individuals who are out there? You should understand these individuals come from different backgrounds, diverse cultures, diverse walks of life with different expectations. So when they come into your organization, the organizational goals are on one side, the personal goals of these individuals are on the other side. So management plays a very important part of reconciling or integrating the organizational objectives with the individual objectives such that the individual also grows and the organization also develops. Over to importance of management. Guys, understand this question of importance of management can be asked in different ways. So when you say importance of management, you mean to say management is an in thing. So what are all the advantages because there is management? What are all the merits of having a proper management? So the question could be modeled either as importance of management or as advantages of management or as merits of management. So be prepared for anything. The answer remains the same. First, management helps in achieving group goals. So the duty of any manager, what is it? It is to combine all the individual efforts in the organization and to direct it towards the common goal of the organization. So proper management helps in achieving the group goals. That is the organizational objectives, whatever we saw earlier in the earlier session. So next is increases efficiency. So when there is better planning, when there is better organizing, better staffing, better controlling, better directing, when there is better of every aspect of management, naturally your efficiency is going to increase, whereby you're going to do the right thing but at a minimum cost, at minimum use of resources, and through optimum utilization of available resources. Next one, management creates a dynamic organization. Once you're prepared with good management, once you know you're planning better, you know you're organizing better, you're going to prepare yourself for all the things which are going to come in the future. It could be even a COVID, it could be even a tsunami, it could be a economic slowdown, it could be a huge inflation or anything. It could be stagnation in the economy, it could be anything. But you're prepared for all that. It could be even political instability. So you're going to prepare yourself dynamically for all the changes which are going to happen in your external environment, which could be either your economic environment, your social environment, your political environment, your legal environment, whatever be it, through better management, through better planning, controlling, organizing, staffing, etc. You're going to do it better. So management helps in creating a dynamic organization. Next, management helps in achieving personal objectives. Guys, it is very easy. You just need to correlate the different things. In the earlier part, we just spoke about objectives of management, whereby we spoke about organizational objectives. Next, we spoke about social and personal objectives. Now we are coming into personal objectives. So these three were part of organizational objectives. This is a result of personal objective. So once an organization's objectives are all fulfilled, what does it come to? It comes to development, growth, and training and development and growth of the individuals who are working in the organization, such that they also achieve their individual goals in line with the organizational objectives. So the last one helps in development of society. This is nothing but our social objectives. So once an organization is fulfilled, once an organization is self-reliant, next it comes to the society. When an organization is well developed, well managed, it in fact transforms into the development of society on the whole. So as far as importance of management is concerned, there are 5 points. First 3 points being addressing the organizational objectives of the organization, and the fourth point addressing the personal objectives, and the fifth point addressing the social objectives. So the first point helps in achieving group goals. 2. Management increases efficiency. 3. Management creates a dynamic organization. 4. Management helps in achieving personal objectives. 5. Management helps in the development of society. Focus on management and its nature. So when talking about nature of management, we are at this point where we need to classify management as an art or as a science or as a profession. For us to classify management, whether it is an art form or is it a scientific theory or is it professional knowledge, we first of all need to understand what is art, what is science, and what is profession. First, let's get into art. So art is something which has got its own tons of theoretical knowledge involved in it. There's existence of theoretical knowledge, and every art form has to be applied in a personalized manner. And apart from that, it is based on practice and creativity. Let's take cinema. So for cinema, for someone to get into cinema, he needs to understand how sound works, how videos work, how interludes in music work, how music correlates with a video and gets into a film, how editing works, how cinematography works, how light works. So there's so many things, because cinema has got its own levels of theoretical knowledge. Likewise, management has also got its own literature. Whether you're speaking about financial management, whether you're speaking about strategic management, whether you're speaking about HR management. So in all these things, there's so much of theoretical knowledge which is involved. It has got its own literature. That's why when you speak of management, you get into the technical terms, the jargons that you use when you talk of management, because all that flows from the literature of management. Next, personalized application. Let's take the same story. Let's give the same story on Mahabharata to say Maniratnam. And let's take another example, another director, say K. Vishwanath. Let's give the same story to both these directors. Maniratnam would handle it in his own style, whereas K. Vishwanath or any director for that matter, K. Balachandra, K. Vishwanath or any legend, they would handle it in their own style, because art form has got its own way of personalized application. No two art forms look like the same. Similarly in management, if you give the same situation to two managers, the way they handle out would be very different. Though both of them would be trying to achieve the same goal, the way in which the personalized application happens, that would be completely different. So management has got all the aspects of art. And the third one we're coming to, based on practice and creativity. So any story for that matter, it has to be told by a director based on his own understanding of theories and his own creativity. Similarly, any manager in any given situation, he has to handle it, he has to tackle the situation based on his own theories, his own judgments, his own critical explanations, interpretations that he has loaded, he has understood over the years. Through that, and given his own creativity, he has to handle every situation. So given the three contents or the three aspects of art, we can definitely say management is an art form. Next, coming into science. When you speak of science, science is nothing but a systematized body of knowledge which explains the cause and effect of everything. So when something falls, when an apple falls from a tree and it falls down to the ground, there is this law of law of gravity. So for everything, there is theory of everything, the law of everything, the cause and effect of everything is explained in any scientific form. So first one is a systematized body of knowledge. Like any science form, even management has got its own systematized body of knowledge. For everything, as we discussed here, you've got your own literatures, you've got your own theories. If you do this, the person will be happy. If you do this, the organization will grow. If you do this, the stakeholders will be happy. There is of knowledge in every aspect of management that we discuss on. Next, principles based on experimentation. So every science principle, every science theory is based on experimentation. Once when a person said the world looks round or the world is round, nobody agreed. But later, based on experimentation, we ourselves agreed. For example, even during this corona pandemic, we don't go by any vaccine until it is experimented, it is proven that it is right. Similarly, for every management, any management, it is purely based on experimentation. For example, a person comes to the manager saying, I'm not happy with my designation. The manager cannot increase the pay of the person. A pay hike will not suffice the designation hike that he requires. So what he should do is to put him or push him to a bigger designation if he thinks the person truly deserves it. So for every problem in any aspect of management, there is a solution based on experimentation, and everything happens only based on experimentation, even in management. Universal validity. So for every science, for any science which is proven in America, it holds good in India also. For any science which is proven in India, it holds good in Russia also. But with respect to management, this might not be the case in all the times, because whatever holds good, whatever holds true in America might differ in India. Given the geographies, given the cultures, given the tradition, given the work ethos, so there are so many aspects to it. But with certain modifications, the same solutions would work, provided the manager is able to tweak the solution based on the given geography, based on the given manpower, the workforce that he is handling with. So, based on these two aspects, we can definitely classify management as an art and management as a science. When you're asked this question in the exam, it is very important you first explain what are the aspects of art, first explain how it is an art, and then come to how management you can correlate with each and every aspect of this. Same is the case with science. So next, let's get into management as a profession. Now on to management as a profession. Let's take chartered accountancy, CA, as an example. CA is a profession by itself. You call them auditors. and they have their own statutory body which is called ICAI, their own institution or the professional association as you call it. Not everyone can become a CA, only one who registers himself in ICAI, takes up the exams of the CA institute can become a chartered accountant, a qualified chartered accountant. CA has got its own statutory act, Indian Chartered Accountants Act 1949. So it has got its own act, it has got its own laws, rules and regulations, and it has got its own statutes, which is well-defined body of knowledge. And next is ethical code of conduct. There is certain professional ethics that the CA Institute mandates on its members. So there is professional code of conduct for every chartered accountant who's qualified and who's registered with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And service motive. On the whole, on the larger end, when you see, the motive of every chartered accountant is to help their clients plan tax well, is to make sure that their clients do their businesses well, all the revenue points are all well figured and cost leakage is prevented, and overall it helps to provide the society with good products at reasonable prices. So on the whole, it is a service motive. Now, with the same Josh, let's jump into management. When you compare management as a profession, there is this well-defined body of knowledge. As you saw in the first point of management as a science and management as an art, there is this well-defined body of knowledge. There's so much of literature involved in management. And this is what they teach for you in all your management schools, in all your B schools, including the IIMs. So this body of knowledge is what is transferred to the managers who are studying there. Restricted entry. With respect to CA or with respect to doctors or with respect to lawyers, yes, there is restricted entry. They need to register themselves with those respective professional bodies. But with respect to a manager, anyone is a manager, everyone is a manager if they are able to manage things well. So there's no professional body in which you'll have to register yourself. There's no restricted entry. Anyone can become a manager. There can be lower level managers in an organization, middle level, senior level. And for these managers, there's no restriction that only these guys with these color, caste, creed and all this can become. There's nothing like that. Anyone with the ability to manage things well, with the professional skepticism can become a manager definitely. And professional association. I'm not sure how many of the managers themselves know this, but there is a professional association for managers which is called All India Managers Association, AIMA. But it is not mandatory for all managers to get registered there, and neither does it have a statutory backing like the other professional organizations like your Bar Council or Institute of Chartered Accountants of India or IRDA, whatever. Next, ethical code of conduct. Every management by itself, the ultimate motive of any management is to conduct itself well, to adhere to the requirements of the individuals in the organization, to the organizational objectives and to the societal objectives. When you're speaking about individual objectives and societal objectives, it brings in that pinch of ethical code of conduct, which is mandatory, which is the bottom line and which is underlying with respect to any management. The next one, service motive. When you're speaking about service motive, for a hospital, the management of hospital, its motive is service. For a trust, its motive is service. For an export-oriented organization or any customer retail organization, its motive is to increase its profits. But over the point in time, when it grows, not always its motive is going to be profit. On the whole, its motive is to contribute to the development of society, whereby you give good products at reasonable rates and you serve the society on the whole. So I would definitely say management, the ultimate motive of management is service by itself. So based on these points, there is well-defined body of knowledge, restricted entry, professional association, ethical code of conduct and service motive. Yes, we can say management as a profession. Levels of management. There are 3 levels of management: top level, middle level and supervisory level. These are the 3 levels of management. Before we get into management, let's try to understand it from an IPL team point of view. In an IPL team, the head coach forms part of top management. What does he do? He formulates strategies. He is completely responsible for the output of the team. He formulates strategies as to what are the weak points, where are the points that we need to concentrate, which are the overs where we need to take power play, which are the players who need to, in which order should the team go, which is the team which should play. So all these strategic level decisions are made by the head coach. So he forms of top management. And what are the characteristics? Usually these people undergo a lot of stress, they undergo a lot of criticism if something goes wrong, they are blasted in media. And so this position undergoes a lot of stress, and they are completely responsible for the welfare and survival of the team. Next comes middle management. What does the middle management comprise of? The middle management comprises of fielding coach, batting coach, a bowling coach, all these department-wise coaches. So what do these people do? All the top level strategies, the plans will be made by the head coach. And these plans should be communicated to the players. And who does it? The work is done by these respective coaches. They'll take the inputs from the head coach on their respective departments, and they'll make sure all this is communicated to the captain, who will in turn communicate it to the team. The team here is nothing but workforce. So these coaches, what is their duty? Their duty is to understand what the head coach says, to communicate it to the captain, to communicate it to the supervisory management. And they need to understand whether they have sufficient resources, and they need to decode what are the instructions given by the head coach. They need to interpret it well such that they can make proper plans. They need to plan for it themselves once again, and they need to ensure that proper people are there in their respective departments, whether it is batting department, bowling department, fielding department, and who's going to wicket keep. So there are these aspects. So middle management is a base, is a link, is a chain between top management and supervisory management. Next comes to supervisory management. Do remember, supervisory management can also be called operational management or lower level management. So when you're asked a question on explain operational management, you don't get bogged down. It is nothing but supervisory management. Supervisory management is a captain. The captain takes instructions from the fielding coach, the batting coach, the bowling coach, and he makes sure these players, the respective batsmen, the respective bowlers, the respective fielders are all ready with all the instructions given by them. He communicates in turn to the people who are working on the ground. So he is very, very important because he manages everything on the field. Okay? And now with the same perspective, let's get into an organization. What is the top management? Top management consists of senior most executives of the organization. Who are the senior most executives? The board of directors, the executive directors, the key managerial personnel, the CEO, CFO, COO, CTO, all these people. And not just them, but even the different functional heads like your vice president marketing, president HR. So all these people also form part of top management. So they take up all the stress. They work day in and day out for the welfare and survival of the organization. And it is them who will be the face of the organization in the public. And they take up all the stress. They strive day in and day out. And usually these are the people who are paid the biggest paycheck in every company. So they are responsible for the welfare and survival of the organization in public. Next, middle management. Middle management is nothing but your production managers, your division managers. So these are the people who are middle management. What do? They are subordinates to the top managers, and they are superior to the first line managers. The first line managers is nothing but the supervisors or the foremen who are working on the ground. So these people, they ensure they get the objectives, they understand the objectives from the top management, they decode the objectives, they make plans, they ensure people are there on the field to work on this plan, they ensure that sufficient people are there in their respective teams, and then they execute the work by assigning the work to different people, by delegating authority, and finally they cooperate with other departments to ensure that output is reached. So middle management acts as a chain between top management and supervisory management. Next comes to supervisory or operational or lower level management. I don't know, this can also be called as foreman level of management, because in the book, a lot of places it states the word foreman. So make sure whatever questions that you're asked on supervisory or operational or lower level management or foreman management, it is nothing but this management, the lower level. And this is the management which works on the ground, which manages things on the ground, which communicates directly with the workforce. It ensures that whatever instructions which are given by middle management to them, all that is communicated in turn to the workforce, and make sure that the output reflects whatever or the objectives of the organization at the whole. So if people are not happy, if people on the ground are not happy, if your labor union is not happy, the first thing you need to understand is to communicate with the supervisory management to understand what are the problems that people are undergoing. So if this management works effectively, then all your wastages will be minimized, your cost leakages will be prevented, and your revenues will also get boosted. So these are the three levels of management. Two functions of management. Please don't get confused. First we read on what is management, and then characteristics of management, and then objectives and the levels of management and importance of management in between. Yes. And now we're getting into functions of management. What are the functions? There are only 5 functions. First one is planning, the next one is organizing, the next one is staffing, the fourth one is directing, and the fifth one is controlling. Now let's get into an example. For example, assume yourself to be the director of Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, a movie. So first, at the first stage, you plan as to what is the story. What is the storyline? And you prepare the screenplay for the story. You decide on this is going to be the story. You decide on this will happen next, this is going to happen next, and this is how the film will end. So the story writing part becomes your plan. And there is a plan. Once you've planned, what do you do next? You organize. What do you organize? You organize based on the story's requirement. Okay, one part of the story will be in India. That part will be a very minor part. There will be first 20 minutes in the beginning and last 5 minutes in the climax. And the majority of the film will be shot in Spain. And this portion will have to be taken care by this person. This portion, we need to concentrate more on this portion. And dance steps will be very less. And there'll be a lot of, in between, there'll be a lot of lyrics which would require a great lyricist to come and write poems on that. And that maybe we can organize Javed Akhtar. So something like that. So that is the responsibility of planning as to, once the plan is made, you decide which are all the tasks to be done to meet the plans. How the responsibilities, what are all the total responsibilities, how the responsibilities are to be shared, what are the authorities that are to be delegated, what are the assignments that need to be determined, that need to be given to specific people. So all this gets into organizing phase. Next, what do you do? Staffing. So I want a director who is, I want a cinematographer who is shot abroad, who knows how the lights of Spain will look like, so that he understands the movie well. I want the actors who can come out of India and act for quite a large number of days. I want art directors who can make very good art in a place like Spain. So these are the requirements to put the right person in the right job at the right time to meet the objectives. So that is about staffing. Directing. And you're already in Spain, say some 20 days of movie shooting is over, and now all the guys are like bogged down. They either want to go home, they want to meet their children, they're bored of Spain food. There are a lot of reasons as to why they might get bogged down. So now the director will have to stand by them. She needs to lead them, she needs to inspire them, she needs to motivate them, saying, come on, you can do it. It is just few other days and it's going to be a blockbuster in your life. So that motivation part, that is nothing but directing. The last part is controlling. Controlling is monitoring the entire performance, the organizational performance on the whole. What do? You set standards. You set a movie as a standard, and then you say this movie that we are making, it should reach that standard. And you see the actual performance, whether that's this movie is that movie, it made 150 days run, it made box office numbers of say 100 crores. This movie, we keep that as target, we see whether it is meeting that. In case it is falling short of that, we understand as to where it is falling short, what is the variance, and what is the corrective action that we need to take. And that part is called controlling. So, in any organization, the first part is to plan, to see what comes in advance, to understand the objectives of the organization, and to plan in advance such that the resources of the organization are used meticulously, effectively, and efficiently. Next comes organizing. Organizing is a place when you assign tasks, when you share responsibilities, when you divide the work to be done, and you organize the entire work. Next is staffing. To put the right person at the right time, in the right place, on the right job to achieve the organizational objective is all about staffing, which is simple, which is HR function. Directing. Directing is a leader's job. So far you have been a boss. At this stage, you become a leader. You become a leader, you lead your people from the front, you motivate them, you inspire them, you tell them, boss, come on along with the organizational objectives, even your individual objectives are going to be achieved. You train them, you develop them, you help them grow. And that's about directing. And the last stage is controlling, whereby you monitor the entire organizational performance by first setting standards, next evaluating your existing performance, 3, understanding or comparing the standards with your performance, and then 4th is taking corrective action. So this is all about functions of management. Coordination. What is coordination? In any reality show, there'll be a group of dancers dancing, and the judge would say, no, there is lack of coordination. It is the same thing. Even in management, in a dance floor, management also coordination is required. Even in an organizational management also, coordination is required. Coordination can be called the essence of management. It is that function which instills that unity of action among lot of interdependent activities and departments of an organization. So coordination acts as a fulcrum of management. There are two aspects with respect to coordination that we see in textbook. One is characteristics of coordination and the next one is importance of coordination. First, let's get into characteristics. As I told you even before when we were discussing on characteristics of management, it is the same. So characteristics of coordination, features of coordination, traits of coordination, whatever be the question, this is the answer. So first, coordination integrates group efforts. In any organization, there are a lot of stakeholders, there are a lot of individuals, there are a lot of resources, there are a lot of efforts involved. To integrate all that, you require coordination. And next, and what does coordination do? Coordination is the one which integrates this group efforts. The next one is ensures unity of action. There are a lot of bosses. Even within an organization, there is one boss who gives instruction to a lot of people around. So there needs to be coordination. Whatever he said and whatever is finally executed. The difference between input and output that will be managed. There will not be any difference between what went in and what came out. And even in the output, whatever is the expected or the desired output and whatever is the actual output, to ensure it is the same, you require coordination and management. The next one is continuous process. Yes, as we spoke on management, even coordination is a continuous process. It is not like a one-day game whereby today there's coordination, later there's no coordination. Even in dance shows, as I said, when you look into a dance steps, the judge would not say in the first 5 minutes there was coordination, in the last 10 minutes there was no coordination. They wouldn't say like that. They would on the whole say there was no coordination. So it is like that. Even for an organization, it will define, coordination is the one which will define the organization's management. So it is a continuous process, it is an ongoing process, it keeps happening all the time. The next one is an all-pervasive function. So coordination is an all-pervasive function. There are different departments in an organization. There's purchase department, there's sales department, there's marketing, there's finance, there's HR. So between all these departments, coordination is required. It is not like only purchase department coordinates well with finance department, HR department coordinates well with only marketing department. It cannot happen like that. All the departments in an organization, in an all-pervasive manner, in an ominous manner, it should coordinate between each other. The next one is responsibility of all managers. Coordination is a responsibility of top management. Top management coordinates with middle management. Middle management acts as a chain between top and lower level management. Middle management coordinates whatever plans given by top management to lower level management or supervisory management. Supervisory management makes sure coordinates with the workforce and make sure whatever is the desired output of the top management is delivered finally. So it is the responsibility of all managers. It is not just top manager or middle manager. It is the responsibility of top management, middle management and supervisory management as well. The next one is deliberate function. A manager has to sit, he has to deliberately take efforts and consciously coordinate the efforts of all the individuals. It is not like it happens automatically. It doesn't happen automatically. If it happens automatically, that's called cooperation. Cooperation in the absence of coordination would lead to wasted efforts, and coordination in the absence of cooperation would lead to dissatisfaction among workers. So it is very important the manager sits, he takes time out and deliberately coordinates the efforts of all the individuals in the organization to make sure everything is in line and there is unity of action. So over to importance of coordination. There are three aspects that we see. One is growth in size. When there is huge growth in size, the number of people involved in the organization rises. For example, an organization grows, say it is based out of Mumbai, it grows in Mumbai and later it has branches in Kolkata, Chennai, Delhi, etc. And then it goes abroad. It has now got subsidiaries working out of America, Australia, Germany, etc. So when there is growth in size, the need for coordination gets higher and higher. So there are a lot of individuals. There will be a German sitting in Germany discussing on matters with a Mumbaiker. So there's a lot of coordination which is involved to make sure everything goes in the right way. Everything is managed in the right way. When there is growth in size, the requirement of coordination even gets higher. So that's when coordination becomes more important. Next one is functional differentiation. Let's take the objective of marketing department. What would be the objective of marketing department? To increase sales, say by 20% next year. What would be the objective of finance department? The objective of finance department would be to reduce cash outflows, say by 10% at least next year. So when marketing department, just for it to meet its objective of higher sales, gets into higher discounts, say it gives huge discounts. But the finance department, just to meet its objective of cutting down cash flows, reduces all these discounts. It pushes out all these discounts. It declines all the discounts. So what would happen? One, the marketing department will not be able to achieve its goal of higher sales. Two, the finance department will not be able to happily lower down or cut down cash outflows. So what happens? It would lead to wasted efforts. So that's when there is a functional differentiation, that's when it becomes very important for coordination to take place. There should be coordination between different departments, different functions, and different individuals within an organization. There are different individuals which come from different race, culture, caste, background, educational background, qualification background, lot of things. So there requires a coordination even on functional differentiation front. Because of functional differentiation, growing functional differentiation, coordination it gets importance once again. The next one is specialization. You get into a big four organization. There are audit firms. There are 4 big 4 audit firms. In those audit firms, the entire segment is divided into a lot of smaller segments of huge specialization. For example, they have a transfer pricing department, they have a direct tax department, they have an indirect tax department. Even within direct tax, they have an assessment department, an appeals department, a tribunal department, a lot of things that we can imagine of. So when there is so much of specialization, what happens is one specialist gives an opinion. The other specialist completely gives a different opinion from the statute or from the background from which he comes. So what happens? There will be once again a lot of duplication of efforts or wasted efforts in that space when there is lack of coordination. In those cases, there requires a manager who needs to coordinate between the different specialists who have got different points of view and to arrive at some middle ground such that the ultimate organizational objective is achieved. So, because of these 3 reasons, 1, growth in size, because organizations are growing heavily. 2, functional differentiation, because different departments have different goals, different dreams, and different objectives. 3 is specialization, because when there are a lot of specialists, there are a lot of opinions, and in the absence of coordination, all these opinions gets in vain. So, because of these aspects, coordination is important. And now for a revision on characteristics and importance of coordination. 1, coordination is the essence of management. It is the one which unifies action between different interdepartments and related activities of the organization. Characteristics. Coordination integrates group efforts. Coordination ensures unity of action. Coordination is a continuous process. It is an all-pervasive function. It is a responsibility of all managers, and it is a deliberate action. It is a deliberate function of the manager. Over to the importance of coordination, there are 3 aspects. 1 is growth and size. The second one is functional differentiation, and the third one is specialization. So we are at the end of the session. This being our first video, we have taken our efforts, maximum efforts to make sure it was interesting for you all. There are 3 things that you can do for us. 1 is to like the video, 2 is to subscribe for the channel, and 3 is to share. Please do subscribe for our Happy Study Hours channel. It means a lot to us. Every like that you put is going to encourage us more. I hope I have not wasted your time that you had invested in this video. I hope it was productive. Though it was more of a monologue that I had been speaking and you had been hearing, I hope a lot of positive and a lot of productive dialogue that happens in the comment section. Please do let me know what all we need to change so that it caters more to your needs. Please do let us know so that we can incorporate all those changes in the coming sessions. So last but not the least, once again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please do share it with all your study circles so that the benefit of this goes widespread. Thanks a lot for your time. See you next week.